Here we are, I'm at the airfield, came out to do a video, but there's go-karts next door, so there's a lot of noise. Makes it very hard to do a decent video when there's all this noise over here, so let's go and have a look and see what's happening with all these go-karts. Maybe get some footage, maybe there'll be some thrills and some spills, you never know. I think they're just warming up at the moment. Hi there everybody, just a sneak peek at the build table from hell. It's just a big mess because I'm doing a whole lot of builds, and this is one that I started some time ago. It's the Venus from HobbyKing. It's a 40 size trainer, and now these normally have like a torque rod set up here. There's a piece of metal, normally this little piece of metal here pokes up out of the wing, and as you move this, of course, as the servo which is mounted up here moves this, it twists a wire which moves the aileron, but this one was so far out of whack, it was like bent really back when the aileron was level, that when I tried to straighten it, bing, broke. Piano wire, very brittle. So it's meant I've had to actually mount the servo in the wing. So I've cut a few bits of wood here. I'm going to put a couple of rails in the wing so that I can actually mount the servo like this. And then it's actually a better setup anyway, because these torque rods, they tend to flex a bit. And I'm thinking I might put my Russian MDS or MAC or whatever it is 61, the really powerful 61 10cc racing engine in this plane, see if it holds up. And I really wouldn't want to, the ailerons would probably flutter if I just used the torque rod, so this was a fairly worthwhile mod anyway. And here's the little tiny stick, the HobbyKing little stick that I started to build some time ago. Got the elevator servo, and I'm not going to put rudder on it because I'm not going to use the undercarriage, and so there's no point in having a rudder. It won't knife edge anyway. So I thought, well, I'll save weight. I'll just use the elevator servo and the aileron servo. Now here is the wing, and as you can see, I've got the, whoops, the aileron servo is already installed here. Put the screw in there, must remember to do that before I fly it. But it's got these little carbon fibre push rods, use heat shrink and little pre-bent things. The one thing I did do was I didn't like the idea of using the CA hinges, because these little servos, they don't have a lot of power, and the hinges can be quite stiff, the CA hinges. So what I've done is I've used some covering film. I've actually chamfered the edge of the ailerons. Don't know if we can see that on here, but I've chamfered the edge of the ailerons, used covering film top and bottom, clear transparent covering film, to give me a really nice hinge. Because even though I use CA on the tail, but that's still pretty stiff on the elevator. I'm not really happy with the CA hinges, even though I use quite narrow strips, narrower than they suggested. So we'll see what happens with that. And of course I've got the TD010 engine ready to go on this little plane. It's going to be a Bobby Dazzler actually. And so that'll mount on the front. I've taken the electric motor out already, got to make up a battery and put it all together. And woohoo, this will be flying this week for sure. And the Venus I hope will be flying this week as well. And if I don't put in the Russian racing motor, I might put this in. Now I think I've already showed people this engine, not quite sure if I did or not, but this is the HP VT49. It's got the Aspen rotary valve, and it's a 50 size motor, 49, 4-stroke, but it has no poppet valves. It only has a rotary valve in the head which spins around. It's geared through the back here. There's a shaft drums at the back from a bevel gear on the crankshaft, back of the crankshaft, drives that at half speed, and it rotates a little valve in there which has openings, alternatively opens the intake port and the exhaust port. And so it's gutless as a wet, gutless as anything. Very quiet. I've got the 21. You can see a video on Make Street channel, the HP 21 in action. Really quiet, quieter than electric. So I'm thinking, well, if I don't put that fiery Russian engine on the Venus, I might put this on. Now the only problem, of course, with this 4-stroke as is the case with a lot of 4-strokes, let's see if I can get this into 0, my crusty Chinese scales, is the weight. Let's put this on here. It actually weighs 570 odd grams. 570 grams, that's a lot. It's an awful lot. That's quite a bit of weight for a 49 size motor. So hopefully, if I do use this, it won't weigh it down too much. The other thing is, of course, that the mounting lugs are 60 size. So the standard engine mount on the front of the Venus, this just doesn't fit. I'm going to have to do some some modifications on the front. And for those who don't recognise the Venus, if you look at this, you'll get a glimpse. If you go to the HobbyKing site, you'll find it. It's this 40 size trainer. One of the reasons I like this is, look, it's all solid balsa. There's none of that laser cut ply and frail construction. It looks really tough. And you can set it up as a trike or a tail dragger. It's got option, but the tail dragger doesn't have a tail wheel, which is a bit of a pain if you're flying from a sealed surface. But stay tuned. Hope to get this going this week. Woo!